When John uses that word in verse 9, patience, he's using the word for God telling us how to hold on to Christ. Patience means you hold on even when it hurts. It's kind of like in the movies where they're clinging, and they make, and they're holding on. They're holding on even though it hurts. So that's the vivid imagery. John's readers were going through the exact same thing. They were meeting in secret to avoid being fed to lions. They were suffering for their faith. And listen, they were constantly surrounded with so much immorality that they faced temptation walking down the street. Have you ever gone to a museum and seen any Greek statues? Hardly any of them have any clothes on. And people go, why? That was the Greek ideal. Athletics were practiced in gymnasium. You ever heard of a gymnasium? Do we have a gymnasium here? You have one, but it's not a real one. Because gymnos is the Greek word for naked. It's a place where naked people practiced their sports. And every town of any size had the gymnasium. And you didn't have to beep your card to get into it. It just was part of life. And they had the bathhouse, and they had everything, and all those statues you see is what they saw in real life. Now look, they were constantly surrounded with so much immorality that they faced temptation just walking down the street. Now it was unlike that in any time in history until 2007, when Steve Jobs, the genius, the man who will probably be recorded in history as altering the direction of human society, invented this to be in everyone's pocket. Actually, he invented the music first to be in our pocket, and then he thought, well, I'll put the music with the phone, and then I'll add a camera, and then I'll add a flashlight, and then I'll add everything else you need to live, so that young people get to the point where they sleep with this because they don't want to miss anything. And you know what? In the Roman world, just walking through life, you faced endless temptations. That it wasn't like that in the rest of history until our day. Did you know it used to be, if you wanted to be tempted, you had to go on a journey to wherever the temptation was. And most people didn't live near a lot of temptations. They just worked all the time. But now, the temptation is in the pocket. Did you know, 89% of all pornography is consumed on portable devices, where you can be all alone and know who's watching and not, except for one, who's always with us. See, I get asked all the time as I travel to visit with young people, they say, how do we overcome our struggle with whatever tempts us? I said, by understanding the attributes of God. Joseph did, didn't he? Remember Joseph in Genesis? Joseph is attacked by Potiphar's wife. She starts pulling his clothes off. That's the direct approach. Pull the clothes off. And he stops her. He says, stop! She says, why? He said, how can I do this evil and sin against God? And you know what Potiphar's wife did? She went like this. She said, there's nobody else in this room. Joseph said, yes, there is. My God is here, and I will not sin against him. That's the answer to how we overcome temptation, knowing that the God who loves us, who knows everything, who has all power, is not far away. He's right here. And that's what he reminded John of, and John reminded the church. Here's a video overviewing Revelation for you.
I think someone needs when they're struggling and alone and in danger. Well, the book of Revelation was written to someone just like that. The Apostle John was on a rocky, barren island called Patmos on the Aegean Sea. That's exactly where we are right now, on a rocky, barren, seaside island on the Aegean Sea. And John remembered the loss of all of his beloved brothers in ministry. The apostles had each been hunted down and martyred by the empire. He was the last one, and they got him, and they put him here in exile. But as the years went by, he began to remember. He remembered his beloved city was gone, destroyed, leveled. The hundreds of thousands of fellow Jews massacred or sold into slavery. And now here he was, old, weak, alone, and in danger. So what does God think you need when the empire is against you and hunting you down, and when the world seems to be headed toward destruction? Well, it sounds kind of like the times we live in. If you're listening to the news at all about global warming and water scarcity and the environment being destroyed by humanity's industries and CO emissions, it's true. The earth is shaking and groaning and dying, just like it says in God's Word. And so what's the most encouraging thing that God could send? Well, to the Apostle John, it was this book of Revelation. And he said, you're blessed if you read it, and you're blessed if you heed it, and you're blessed if you keep the things that are written in it. And that's what this course is all about.